On November 28, 2020, Houston city workers came across a naked body on the side of a service road. Initially, they thought it was a mannequin due to the way the body was positioned. However, upon closer inspection, they realized it was a deceased woman. The police would later identify her as Instagram influencer Alexis Sharkey. Alexis was born on January 25, 1994, and grew up in northwestern Pennsylvania with her parents and two younger sisters. The Robinols were a happy, supportive, and close-knit family whom Alexis dearly loved. Her friends described her as a kind and generous person who was passionate about learning and achieving her goals. After graduating from high school in 2012, she attended the University of Pittsburgh to study biology, nutrition, and psychology, with the long-term goal of pursuing a career in medicine. She graduated at the top of her class and decided to take a gap year to travel and relax, which led her to move to Odessa, Texas. There, she got a job at Twin Peaks, a sports bar, and quickly made new friends. That's when she met her future husband, Tom Sharkey. Tom was a regular customer who worked as a consultant in the oil industry. Well-traveled and in his mid-40s, he hit it off instantly with Alexis, who was in her early 20s. Despite the age gap, neither seemed to mind, and their fairy tale romance began. They frequently posted about their travels on social media, and they became the epitome of couple goals. Eventually, Alexis decided she was tired of her demanding job at Twin Peaks and quit to become a salesperson for Mona, a haircare product company. Alexis had a natural talent for sales and recruitment, which helped her quickly climb the ranks, becoming an executive director in early 2020. She started ramping up her Instagram presence, and soon, her account began to attract a large following. She combined her sales skills and knowledge in biology to promote Monat products, presenting both the products and the lifestyle of its sales community in an appealing way. With her captivating beauty and frequent travel adventures, Alexis's Instagram feed quickly caught people's attention, establishing her as an influencer. While she preferred to call herself a businesswoman and mentor, her posts clearly had a strong influence, prompting many to join Monat or purchase its products. By the summer of 2019, Tom and Alexis were engaged and decided to move to Colorado. They traveled around the area, appearing very happy and in love. A few months later, they married in December 2019 and moved to Houston, Texas. Alexis quickly made friends in her new home, forming a close-knit group of girlfriends through a mobile app. They enjoyed spending time together and created a group chat where Alexis was reportedly very active. This detail would later play a significant role in the investigation. Despite being newly married, Alexis rarely included Tom in her outings with friends. In fact, she rarely spoke about him when she was with them. As November 2020 approached, things took a tragic turn. At the beginning of November, Alexis traveled to Tulum, Mexico with her friends, notably without Tom. Upon her return, she began making holiday plans, with Thanksgiving just around the corner. During a phone call, she told her mother that she wouldn't be coming home for Thanksgiving but would certainly visit for Christmas. Her family found it odd that Alexis hadn't been visiting as frequently as she used to. It had been almost a year since they last saw her. Despite this, they were excited to see her in December. Unfortunately, this reunion would never happen. On Thanksgiving morning, November 26, 2020, Alexis exchanged a few texts with her mom, wishing each other a happy Thanksgiving. However, instead of spending the holiday with Tom, she celebrated with her girlfriends at her friend Tanya's house. She stayed until around midnight, when a friend picked her up to go to a bar, where they remained until about 3 a.m. Later, Alexis texted Tanya that she would come back to her place to pick up her things, but since Tanya was already asleep, she didn't respond. Alexis still went back to Tanya's house to get her car and allegedly drove home. The next day, November 27th, was Black Friday, a busy day for Alexis due to her role with Monat. Her colleagues began posting about their sales early in the morning, but Alexis remained unusually silent. This was particularly strange because she was always the one motivating her team to stay active on social media. At around 5:30 p.m., a message appeared in the group chat from Alexis's phone. She asked about her friend's plans for the evening, indicating she wanted to go out. However, since it was Thanksgiving weekend, her friends were already occupied, and they decided to meet the next day for a girls' night out. These brief messages would be the last time anyone heard from Alexis. During this time, she didn't post anything on social media, which was highly unusual for her. A few hours later, around 11 p.m., Tom texted John, the boyfriend of one of Alexis's friends, asking if he had heard from her. John called Tom immediately. During their 45-minute phone call, Tom claimed that Alexis was missing. He said they had a fight, and she stormed out of their house barefoot, climbing over the fence and getting into a black car that picked her up. Throughout the conversation, Tom shared several details, but he would later change his story multiple times during the investigation. For instance, Tom initially claimed that Alexis was wearing sweats and running shoes when she left. In one version of his story, he said she left her phone behind. In another, he claimed she took it with her, and he used a tracking app to follow her until he lost the signal. John felt that something was off throughout the entire conversation. Tom stated that after failing to find Alexis, he pulled into a gas station to clear his head and plan his next move, reportedly staying there for 2 hours before starting to call people asking if they had seen Alexis. The next day, Alexis's friends began texting in the group chat to plan their girls' night, but Alexis's silence caused concern. Her friends became alarmed when they realized she hadn't been posting on social media, which was out of character. When she failed to show up for their planned movie night, they knew something was seriously wrong. Alexis was not someone who would flake on plans without any notice. Alexis's friends contacted her mother, who already knew her daughter was missing, having been informed by Tom. Eventually, her friends filed a missing persons report and began posting on social media, hoping to find Alexis. While Alexis's family and friends were frantically searching for her, her body had already been discovered by Houston city workers, who found her naked and dumped by the side of a service road, just a few miles from her home. When Tom was brought in to identify the body, Alexis's family still held on to hope because her phone was still on. Unfortunately, Tom confirmed that the body was indeed that of his wife, Alexis Sharkey. Her body showed no signs of a struggle, and there was no apparent cause of death. Initially, it was unclear how she had died, and it wasn't until January 2021, 2 months after her death, that the medical examiner concluded she had died from strangulation. Shortly after the news of Alexis's death broke, troubling details about her relationship with Tom surfaced. A friend revealed that Alexis had confided that her marriage was in trouble and that she was afraid for her life. According to this friend, Alexis seemed petrified. It became evident that Alexis was planning to divorce Tom. The couple had even separated their bank accounts shortly before she went missing. Divorce papers were allegedly drawn up and ready to be signed. But that wasn't the only surprise. During her trip to Tulum in early November, Alexis met a Houston-based DJ named Sebastian. The two hit it off, and although her friends gave mixed statements regarding whether they hooked up during the trip, they all agreed there was definitely some romantic interest. Sebastian was the one who picked Alexis up after Thanksgiving dinner with her friends and took her to a bar where they stayed until around 3 a.m. Whether they were dating or just hanging out is unclear, but their connection added another layer to the investigation. Following the coroner's conclusion that Alexis had been strangled, investigators began scrutinizing Tom's past for any signs of a motive or evidence of foul play. In the only interview Tom gave to the press, he claimed Alexis was not who people thought she was. To others, she appeared happy and carefree, but with him, she was often stressed and worried, and he frequently had to comfort her. He also denied that they had fought the night she went missing, despite previously telling John about a fight. Electronic forensics became a crucial part of the investigation as police examined the digital devices of everyone who had communicated with Alexis in her last days. Unsurprisingly, the primary theory was that Tom had killed Alexis, and many of her friends supported this idea. They reported that Alexis had often described Tom as abusive, controlling, and manipulative. Some said he would even strangle her for fun, leading to speculation that he might have gone too far one day, possibly during a sexual encounter. Tom vehemently denied these accusations, including any claims about a pending divorce. However, the investigation continued to focus on him as the main suspect. Other theories also emerged, such as the possibility that one of her friends or Sebastian, the DJ, might have been involved, but Tom remained the primary focus. Alexis's funeral was held on December 19, 2020, but Tom's absence raised further suspicions. By January 19, 2021, the police publicly revealed that Alexis's cause of death was strangulation, officially ruling her case as a homicide. This revelation gave the authorities the authority to detain any potential suspect. Tom, however, had already left Texas quietly after his wife's death. His social media had gone silent, offering no clues as to his whereabouts. After months of searching, authorities finally tracked him down to Georgia. In August 2021, after several attempts to contact him by phone, Tom agreed to provide a DNA sample. But as you might guess, Tom never showed up for the appointment. This led to more suspicion that Tom knew more about Alexis's death than he was letting on. His story had changed multiple times. He had smeared her reputation online, ceased contact with her family and detectives, and failed to provide a DNA sample. None of these actions seemed like those of an innocent man. With this in mind, Tom became the primary suspect. Throughout the investigation, detectives discovered that Tom had a history of domestic violence against Alexis, suggesting their divorce was far from amicable. On September 29, 2021, authorities secured an arrest warrant for Tom Sharkey, marking the beginning of a serious manhunt. Detectives soon learned that Tom was likely staying with his daughter in Fort Myers, Florida. With Tom now a fugitive, law enforcement had to proceed cautiously. They deployed undercover officers to monitor the house from a distance, and by October 5th, their surveillance confirmed that Tom was indeed present at the residence, frequently seen entering and exiting. Tom seemed to be using his daughter's home to evade capture, complicating the efforts to arrest him. To prevent losing him, officers planned a coordinated raid on the property. They prepared for a potentially volatile situation, surrounding the house and knocking on the door. When Tom's daughter answered, she was quickly set aside as officers began their search. Despite clearing the lower floors, Tom was nowhere to be found. The situation escalated dramatically when a gunshot rang out from the second floor. Officers rushed upstairs and discovered Tom's lifeless body in his bedroom. He had taken his own life by shooting himself in the head, choosing to maintain control of the situation one last time. Tom's death essentially confirmed his guilt in Alexis's murder. Though he was still warm when found, there was nothing authorities could do to revive him. His death closed the case but left many questions unanswered. The exact details of how and why he murdered Alexis remain unknown, as the only people who could have provided these answers were no longer alive. Interestingly, no direct evidence linking Tom to Alexis's murder was found in their home or vehicles, so in theory, he could have faced a trial and potentially been found not guilty. However, his actions, particularly his final act, spoke volumes. The lack of concrete evidence did not overshadow the significant circumstantial evidence against him. It is widely believed that an argument, possibly related to their impending divorce or personal grievances, pushed Tom to commit the murder. Domestic violence was suspected as a major factor in the case. Tom's history of abuse, coupled with his physical dominance over Alexis, painted a grim picture of their relationship. Alexis had kept her struggles and secrets largely to herself, and had she reached out to her loved ones, she might have found the support needed to escape her abusive situation. Domestic violence, affecting individuals across various demographics, is a serious issue that often goes unreported until it's too late. Tom's controlling behavior and the ongoing concerns about his abusive nature were tragically validated after Alexis's death. Despite outward appearances of success and a flourishing social life, those closest to Alexis had harbored doubts about Tom's true character. Alexis was on the verge of freeing herself from an abusive marriage, with divorce papers ready to be signed, but her life was cut short by the person who was supposed to care for her. While Tom's suicide meant he avoided legal consequences, it does not erase the fact that he might have continued to pose a threat to others had he evaded justice. His death, while tragic, ensured he could not harm anyone else. It's a harsh reminder of the destructive power of domestic violence and the importance of recognizing and addressing abusive relationships before they reach such a dire conclusion. This case is a stark example of how deep-seated issues can lead to tragic outcomes. As we conclude, I invite you to reflect on the details of this case. Do you believe Tom was guilty? And does his taking his own life reinforce your view of his culpability? Hey everyone, thanks for tuning into World of Crime. We dive deep into the dark and mysterious, bringing you the latest and most gripping true crime stories from around the globe. If you found today's case intriguing, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and join our community of crime enthusiasts. Your support helps us continue uncovering the stories that matter. Have thoughts or theories about today's case? Drop a comment below and let's discuss. We'd love to hear your perspectives and keep the conversation going. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe. I am Alex, and you've been watching World of Crime. See you in the next episode.